Hello everyone, it's Mary Bush with Stampin' in the Sand, and I'm just coming on here real quick, and for some reason I just lost my light. There we go. Coming on real quick to share a tip with you after a few posts that I did a few days ago regarding inventorying my stamp sets and my dies and things of that nature. I had some folks reach out to me with some additional questions on other ways that I store my stamps and dies and if I had any tips. So I thought I would come on live real quick and discuss a couple of those with you. Hopefully you can see everything good. I'm using a new setup here and I'm going to hope that you can see me and you can hear me and that everything looks okay. So when I receive my stamp sets and my dies, my bundles, the first thing I do is I enter them into a program on my computer. I use Evernote, and you can get it as a free program, and I use it to inventory my products so that I know what I have and I can keep a running inventory. It's also good for if we ever have a fire, or here we're prone to hurricanes. So if we ever have any damage, I'll know what I have for inventory if I ever have to do, say, a insurance claim. And we're going to hope that we don't ever have to do an insurance claim. But anyways, so the first thing I do is I enter it in my Evernote. So I have a file for stamps, I have a file for dies, I have a file for designer series paper, I have a file for punches, things of that nature. And I enter the name of the stamp set, the retail price, some features about the stamp set. So for example, Cheerful Daisies, I'll enter that it has daisies and things of that nature. So you can copy that for yourself if that's helpful to you. And then I can do a search for, say, daisies, and it'll tell me everything that I have for daisies, for stamp sets, dies, punches, etc. And then I put my little characteristic dots on my products. So here you'll see that there's a green dot on my stamp set and a black dot on my stamp set. The black dot tells me that stamp set has a coordinating punch or a coordinating die set. And the green dot tells me that it's entered in Evernote. And that's just because the Evernote icon is like a green elephant or something like that. So the green just told me that it was entered in Evernote. Then on my coordinating dies, I also have a little green dot to tell me that that is entered in Evernote also. I also write on the packaging that it coordinates with whatever stamp set. So coordinates with Cheerful Daisies stamp set, and on the stamp set coordinates with Cheerful Daisies dies. Now I used to use a P-Touch because I hate my handwriting. I used to use a P-Touch and type out coordinates with Cheerful Daisies dies and put a label, but truthfully the P-Touch method became a little cost prohibitive, and it was easier just to write it and deal with the fact that I can't stand my handwriting. All right, so now I've entered it into my inventory. I know that I have the Cheerful Daisies stamp set. I know it coordinates with the Cheerful Daisies dies, and I've labeled them all so that they coordinate together. Now, when our dies come in, we all know that they are glued down with this lovely sticker sheet here, or basically it's like tear and tape. And once you start removing things from here, you can lose your stick, things get messy, they all fall apart, they're hard to get on and off. I should have removed some of this before I went live, but I didn't, so now you can see me struggle and feel my pain, because I'm sure this is something you are very familiar with and how annoying it is. So the next thing that I do is I create a magnet sheet for my dies. And yes, I'm struggling here live. I'm actually breaking a sweat removing all of these dies. So then I create a magnet sheet. Now, I have done the magnetic vent cover method for securing my dies to magnet sheets. It's just something that works for me. I know you can buy magnetic sheets from, say, Stampin' Storage and places like that. I'm just going to go to Home Depot or go on Amazon and order my magnetic vent covers because it works for me. So what I do is, the very first thing I do before I remove all of my dies from the packaging it comes in, I run it through the photocopier. So I have a photocopy and it shows me all of the dies that are included in the set as they appeared on the sticker sheet before I removed them. This is going to do two things for me. First, it's going to tell me all the dies that originally came in the set so that I can know that I have them all in the package. And it's also going to show me how I can fit them on my magnet sheet, because you know, some of our dies, once you take them off, you're like, how did we get these back on here? They're not fitting. So this will tell me how Stampin' Up! Initially nested them in the packaging so that I can do the same thing. And if you remember, we used to have a few different pouch styles. First, Stampin' Up! Had the ones with the snaps, and then we had the ones that tucked, but they tucked down this way, and now they tuck up this way. And I'm having trouble with the tuck up this way method because when you go to tuck it up, inevitably you end up pushing some of the dies out of position. So when I use my photocopy sheet, I can put it over the dies and use it kind of as a slide for the packaging. And to show you what I mean, here's one that I've already done. So when I undo it, here's my photocopy. Here's a set of dies on a whole entire sheet. So this is a sheet that I cut down from the original vent cover. And then when I go to put it back in, all I have to do is put the copy over it. Sorry if I just hit the phone. Slide it back in, and now I have a nice smooth surface for me to slide my tab in, and none of my dies get disrupted. So that's one thing that I do to just kind of help me out. Now, when I cut down all of my vent covers, because these come 8 inches by 15, so I will cut them, when I cut them down, I think this is about 5 by 7 for our tall, narrow ones. So you can get three full sheets per vent cover. And I think there's 3 of these in a pack. Yes, there's 3 in a pack. So you can get 9 of this size out of one package of vent sheets. So then, I'm gonna step away for 2 seconds. After I've cut it down, I'm left with this mess. Okay, so I've got all these little pieces. And I saved all my little pieces because I thought, you know, save them for a rainy day. You never know when you're gonna need them. Well, it turns out that every now and then, Amazon or Home Depot will sell out of magnetic vent covers and I can't buy them. So now my little strips have come into play and have come into being handy. So what I've decided to do, even though I'm a little anal and it drives me a little nuts, but I'm gonna, you know, move on, get over it. I'm actually using the cardboard backing that comes with my original packaging of dies. I'm using either sticky strip or tear and tape or the old red, sticky strip. And I'm applying my little pieces onto my original cardboard and then trimming it with a trimmer. Now, I don't use my Stampin' Up! Trimmer to trim my magnets. I actually bought a trimmer off Amazon when I was hoping to be able to cut stacks of DSP in one cut. And it was a horrible purchase. It was a big mistake. It's actually off like a 1/16 of an inch. And so it doesn't cut square and it doesn't cut straight. But I'm also kind of lazy and I couldn't deal with packaging it back up and returning it to Amazon for credit. So I kept it, and I'm actually using it to cut my magnet sheet, and I'm using it to cut chipboard and things where I don't necessarily care if they're straight. and it saves the blades on my trimmer. You know, my good Stampin' Up! Trimmer. So now I just applied some extra sticky strip to my cardboard, and I'm actually going to use the strips that were originally on the packaging. And I'm standing, but now I have to sit down because there's no way I can do this standing up. It'll be really crooked. So excuse me if you see the top of my head. I'm hoping you won't. So I'm going to take my little pieces here that are left over from previous cutting of the original size of the magnet sheets, and I'm just going to butt them up against each other like so. Excuse the squeak. And I'm going to stand up for this one and apply it there. So now I have a full sheet, and then I can just take it to my junky paper cutter and slice off all the little excess. And I'm not going to do that here because it's a huge hunking machine. It's a big paper cutter, so I won't even fit it in the screen. So I'm not going to do that. So we're going to pretend that I cut it down to size, and now I can use my photocopy or my cheat sheet to put all of my dies back on exactly as they were. And we're going to pretend that I did all that because you're not going to sit here while I put all these little pieces back together. And then let's pretend this is all done. All I have to do is take this, use my handy dandy little photocopy here, slide it back in, and it's not going to fit because I have to cut off all this excess. Slide it back in, close it up, and I'm good to go. And now they're all coordinated. Now, someone did ask me if I store my stamps and my dies together in my room, so on my shelves. And no, I don't. Well, I do and I don't. When they are current product in a current catalog, I do stack them with their coordinating stamp set if they have one. I'll keep them together. That's something I just started doing, so it's a work in progress. So I will keep them together. I'll stack them. Now, standalone dies, say like these Stitch with Whimsy dies that do not have a coordinating stamp set, they stand up in a basket. So I can just flip through and grab the one I'm looking for. And the other thing that this photocopy, when I'm thinking of it, this photocopy does is it gives me another visual as to what's included in the die set, so that if I'm looking for like a sentiment die, you know, like a label for a sentiment of a particular size or shape or whatever, seeing it in a photocopy like this actually helps me visualize it better than seeing just the die itself, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not. But anyways, it does. So these standalone dies stand up in a basket, and I just flip through looking for what I want. And then the current product that has a stamp set and a coordinating dies, I am stacking them together for now. Now, once they retire, they separate. And I keep my stamps all together in one area, and I keep all my dies in another area. And the reason I do that is because with my Evernote program, I can actually, like I said, go in and search and say I want daisies. Then I can see everything that has a daisy. Or if I need a particular sentiment, if I want a sentiment label or a tag, I can put in search for tags, and it'll tell me all my dies that have tags. Well, I don't want to have to go find the stamp set to find the dies to whatever. So I keep all my dies separate because in some instances, like this Cheerful Daisies, this sentiment label doesn't have to be just used with Cheerful Daisies. It can be used with anything. So I just keep it separate, and then I can go through and find that particular label. And the storage space that I have for my retired product in my room, it just doesn't allow me to keep everything together. And I know some of you are saying, but Mary, once you have it all neat like this, you can tuck your dies in with your stamps. I can't do that. As I said in the beginning, I'm anal. I'm also OCD and a whole bunch of other things, a whole bunch of other acronyms. The idea of keeping the dies in the case with the stamp set. I tried it once. It drove me nuts. I had to put everything back in its original packaging. I couldn't do it. Maybe someone will challenge me to try it again, and maybe I will be successful and not fail, but I can tell you that the chances of that happening are probably very slim. But we all have our things, right? All right, so I guess that's it. That's all I have for you today. If you have any questions or suggestions of other ways that we could do things that might be a little easier or more organized than this way, let me know. I'm always open to suggestions. This is something that I started doing a few years ago, and it works for me. It may not work for you. Maybe it'll work for a friend. I don't know. But I thought I would share it with you today. So thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for tuning in. Give me a thumbs up or a share if you found this helpful. And, share it with a friend if you think they'll find it helpful. And hopefully everything is looking okay. It seems like it's a little dark, but for some reason the light on my phone wouldn't stay on. And I'm going to work on lighting. But anyways, it was great chatting with you. I hope you found it helpful. Again, give me a thumbs up, share with your friends if you found this helpful at all. And I will see you again soon. Bye.